My soul is shining from the light in my heart as I praise my Lord right from the start. Tears of joy overflowing from my eyes. All the pain in the past was a blessing in disguise. In the middle of the night, I will supplicate to you. As darkness fills the room, the prayers make me feel brand new. Tranquility, the break of dawn comes too soon. Belief in your mercy makes me feel I'll never lose. أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد.
All right, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings on everyone. We're going to start this off. Always, we start off with the dua. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. Wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyati a'malina. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. All right. Okay, welcome back to Wellness Wednesdays. Okay. This is our first one back since we took our little hiatus, our little break there for our little winter getaways and all of that stuff. People flying, going on vacation. People are doing their own things, but we had to come back with part 2 of our Wellness Wednesday, which today is seasonal depression and suicide. And today we have our guest back from last week. We have my sister Donitha Reed. How you doing, sis?
Hello.
All right. And we also have Nefertiti, who will be in soon. She's having a little technical difficulties, but we'll bear with her. And as always, we have my partner, Gareth Bryant. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Sheikh, what's good?
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
And today we got my guy. You know, this is one of my new brothers, man. You know, comrades in arms. You see my guy Franz Jean Bart. I'm gonna let him tell his own story. We're gonna get into a few things. But just, tell us about yourself. Tell us about the different things that may have happened to you. You ain't got to go into all of the depth if you don't want to. As much as you want to get into your story, go into it. And then, tell us about your recovery, man. Go for it.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Franz. I'm an ex-drug addict, ex-alcoholic, and all the above. I started at a young age. My uncle was a drinker and a smoker. He smoked cigarettes and he drank beers. And at the age of 7, 8, I was around him. So he would always send me to the refrigerator to get his beer and open it up for him. So I'd take a sip. He owned a club downstairs. So every weekend they had parties and I'd be going down there and drinking also. And I grew up like that, smoking cigarettes and stuff. But as I got older, I started doing other things. I started smoking marijuana. And I smoked that because I was having a problem with my asthma. And one day I was sitting in front of my building, and this guy, I was having an asthma attack. I couldn't breathe. And this guy walked up. He was like an angel. He had on a long gansy, You know what I'm saying? He had a staff, beard, long beard, and he was smoking a split. And he asked me, "What's wrong, little brother?" And I told him, I said I couldn't breathe. So he told me, "Take two pulls off of this. This is Sensimilia, the virgin plant." So I took two pulls and I started coughing and throwing up. And then afterwards, he told me take two more pulls. Same thing happened. And then I started to breathe. So ever since then, I was smoking weed. But then I ran into some friends who was smoking crack. You know what I'm saying? So I started mixing my weed with the crack to the point where it got out of hand. But I was always into the alcohol. Alcohol got me to a point where I was killing myself and I didn't even know it. I was committing suicide and didn't even know I was killing myself. It's just last year. I got, well, 2 years ago I got into a program here at Kings County, and I started to learn about myself. In the beginning, I didn't really know. It took me a year to really get adjusted and start to learn who I am. And today, I can say that I'm a totally different man because I no longer crave the alcohol and the drugs. But I do have issues, mental issues. That's why I'm still in the program. I had anger issues real bad, and my anger was rage. So I had to learn how to control my rage. I understand that anger is a natural feeling, but rage is not good for anyone. Not for me, not for the person I'm having rage on. So I had to learn how to control that. My depression, I had to learn how to control that. A lot of things that I've been working on with myself to make myself a better person. There was a time that I was no good. I was really, really a bad person. Um, I was a stick up kid. I was all that dirtiness I did, But through the power of the Almighty, He gave me a second chance. And today I could say I'm a man. I'm an honest man. You know what I'm saying? Because honesty saved me. I had to be honest with myself and let myself know, hey, listen, dude, you're doing the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? You've got a problem and you need help. Because I relapsed 3 times before. Um, the first time I relapsed, I did a month in in out in an inpatient program. Came out 3 months later, I was relapsed. Second time I went in, 6 months, I relapsed. The third time I went in, I did a whole year and then I relapsed. So this time when I went in, I said I'm going to do things different, and I changed my whole lifestyle. The lifestyle that I had from before, I no longer carried it through this recovery process this time. I let that go. The person that I used to be is no longer here. This is a new person, a new individual, and I love this new life. I love sobriety, and this is what I do every day, all day. When people are not looking, I'm living sobriety, and it's a wonderful thing. And I hope everybody who's suffering with this disease can at least give sobriety a try because it does help and it saves lives. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you so much, Franz. I just want to ask you a couple questions if I can, right?
Sure.
With you dealing with, like you said, with the depression part and the anger part and the did you ever have any issues like or thoughts of suicide or anything of that nature? Anything like that?
No, I never thought about doing it to myself, but I
Mm-hmm.
thought about doing it to others. I came close a couple of times to, doing it to others. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I was committing suicide, but I didn't know it with the drugs and the alcohol. I was killing myself literally, and I didn't know it. And I was also killing my mother.
Mm.
Yeah, she was crying all the time, and she was getting sick every day. And it was one day I realized, I said, "Yo, wait a minute." I looked at her, and her face was puffy, her eyes was puffy, and she had just finished crying, but she's trying to hide it.
Mm.
Excuse me. And she was trying to hide it from me. And that same day, I went to the bathroom and I looked at myself, and I didn't like what I saw. At that time, I was walking around with a diaper. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
My pancreas had went bad. I was horrible. I had a walker. I was walking with a walker and all
Mm.
that. I was doing real bad. I was about ready to die too. And still I was drinking. You know, still I was drinking. And the reason I stopped smoking drugs was a friend of mine gave me a sample that was like 9 years ago, and he asked me to sample it for him. And I did my routine. I rolled my spliff and I took two pulls, and I started feeling nauseous. And I figured, oh, this probably got dope in there or something, because that's how whenever I would smoke a spliff and it had dope in there, I'd get nauseous like that. So I took two more pulls and I started getting dizzy. And so I clipped it and I went outside. And once the sun hit me, I fell out. Come to find out that it was fentanyl, and it almost killed me. And from that day on, that's when I decided I'm going to stop smoking drugs, and I'm going celibate. So because drugs and women was my trigger. So drugs and women went together hand in hand. So I had to quit. I had to go celibate. You know what I'm saying? Abstinent from sex and all that. So I've been abstinent now for 9 years from drugs and women, and and I'm all right with myself. I'm okay. I have good people around me. I have people that I trust, people I can share my intimate secrets with. You know what I'm saying? I don't call them friends. I call them confidants. They're so much in my life right now that I don't know what I'll do without them. I share everything with them. And they share everything with me. So yeah, that's where I'm at today.
I hear you. I hear you. Did any of that ever got brought on by, let's say, the depression? Was it just like, okay, I'm gonna calm my nerves with this, or like that's what calmed down your rage and your anger was going to these things, being dependent on these things?
Well, you know what it was. As a child, I used to get beaten by my aunt a lot. She
Mm.
was very strict, and she had two graters. The metal cheese graters.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had two of those, and I had to kneel on that with a cinder block over my head.
Mm.
And if I was to drop it, she would get whipped. So, so I had a problem because I couldn't beat my aunt up. So I'd go to school and beat up on the kids at school. So that's where my
Hmm.
anger stemmed from, and it went with me all my life. Until recently when I started getting a handle on it, by seeing my psychiatrist, my psychologist, going to anger management. Anger management helped me out a lot. I I take these things seriously. Uh, to change my life around, I had to do a lot to be the person that I am.
Yo, and I'm gonna tell you this. It's like sometimes you have to, you know, this is something I didn't know about you. And I appreciated you before then. Even now, it's even more so. You know what I mean? Like I got way more respect for you now. Now that you see how like some of the stuff that you go through, in life. Like we've talked about a lot of different things, and we've been in groups and talked about a lot of stuff. But it's almost unbelievable for some of us have been through these horrific things, man, and still here to talk about it. You know, and that's a beautiful thing, man. And I'm just telling you, it takes a lot of strength, man, a lot of courage to come out and speak on what you just spoke on. And I appreciate you, man. And I can't say anymore. We ain't gonna get too mushy on this joint, right? You know how I feel about you, man. You my guy, But
Definitely,
I want to
definitely.
thank you for coming on and sharing that with us. I mean, it's not over, but you're just gonna get to
Thank you.
yeah, no doubt, man. Thank you for sharing that. Um,
Thank you for letting me share.
yeah, no doubt. I want to go to and I want to first give salam to my sister Nazia. She came, mashallah. How you doing, sis?
Alaikum assalam, assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, good. How are
Alhamdulillah.
you?
Great, great, great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Right. Oh, okay. Thank you. I forgot. I didn't know what you was talking about. It. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm gonna ask Donitha because we didn't really we got to a little bit on part one. So I know you
Oh,
probably had some thoughts, some stuff you want to go through that you missed. So I just want you to get into it and go for it. So.
Oh, I don't know. I think I pretty much covered the life that I wanted to share, because everything else I would share would be a little too. I don't want to trigger anybody.
Okay.
Because yeah, it's that bad. I can go through like the suicide, the self-destructive. I think I covered that as well. And it's just, I just take every day by day. I have to, because I don't have a choice.
Okay. Well, let's do it this way then. If you had someone sitting in front of you going through the same things that you went through, what would be the advice that you would give that individual?
Oh, well, for one, everything you're going through is not your fault. It's hurt people who hurt people. And if you want to break that cycle, then feel free to break it within yourself, because for other people, some people will break down and change. And then there's some that are so set in their ways where they use that term, oh, only God can judge me. You don't know what I've been through, but they don't want to unpack that. Then those are the people that you have to be like, you know what, love them from a distance or leave them alone completely. And you help. And this is what I do. It's like, I know people are not going to change. I'm not going to make them change because they are who they are. But I'm going to stick to my autonomy and stick to the things that I went through and try not to inflict that on other people. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job at it because I stopped that cycle. Okay. My son wants for nothing. He's a brat and he's 22. so it's like, and I became a life coach and a spiritual coach, so I can help people. And religion and spirituality doesn't matter to me because I help everybody. So, and I help people according to their religion as well. So they won't be like, oh, well, I can't do this because of this. I can't do that because of that. I don't care about that because I'm well versed in everything. I'll help you. So with that, it's like, there's certain things that need to be corrected. There's certain things that need to be broken. And a lot of people don't know how. And of course, you can't look to you can't look back to the place that made you sick in the first place. So if you surround yourself with positive people and have that first stepping stone of telling people, look, I need help. And that's what I did. Look, I need help. My support system, I don't have one. What do I do for somebody who don't have a support system? And my therapist is a godsend. He was like, oh, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to link you with this person, and this person, and see how that works out for you, because I have anger issues as well. And my anger issues are beyond. So what if you're mad enough, if you're not too bad, you're going to have to share. And I didn't like sharing. It's like, okay, I'm going to hold it in. But then holding it in doesn't help either, because it's like you internalize, then you compartmentalize the internalization without solving a problem. It's like you'll pack it in, you'll put it over here because now you're dealing with this. Oh, and now you'll get distracted with that. So it's like the main issue will always be there, but then when it explodes, then it becomes a huge problem. So I recommend people don't do that. If anything come up as far as triggers, as far as people, places, things, work with a professional or work with somebody that is close to professional or shared the same thing that went through this and came out on the other side. Because 9 times out of 10, we know what we're talking about. And there's certain things that a lot of people don't know and don't understand, and they won't tell you. So you get around your peers, and then you'll take a deep breath and be like, okay. And then you're no longer in the bubble. You're outside looking at that bubble to where you're like, you know what? Yeah, that's not good for me. And then you work out that bubble accordingly, which is what I had to do. Like, I had to let go people, places, and things. And a lot of them was family. A lot of them were. Because I'm like, okay, if you don't understand what I'm going through, but you're worried about how it looks to y'all, then I'm the only one riding this roller coaster in y'all theme park. So how about we shut down the whole amusement park? I'm going to get off this ride and y'all have fun in the Lululand, because that's exactly what it is. And I've been cool ever since. But yeah, find a great support system. Find people that are like-minded, and not only like-minded, who want to elevate, because people can be like-minded, but they want to stay in the same situation that they want to be in, because it's the perpetual victim syndrome where, well, this is what got me this, and it's like they be coddled in their victimness.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Now,
a lot of people don't like doing, but there's some people who do.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that advice. That's brilliant. I want to ask Nefertiti. I want you to get in a little bit into more of your story, and then, but I also want to ask you a question beforehand, kind of similar to what I just asked Donitha. But when you were going through the worst of what you were going through, whatever point you want to start at, whatever point you would think is at your worst, what do you wish would have happened from someone, either from the outside, or what do you think, what do you wish would have happened? So when somebody's looking at this and like, yo, I'm at that point. So maybe the ones that are on the outside would know how to step in if we kind of let them know. Mm-hmm.
So hello, good evening, everyone, brothers and sisters. You know, recapping on my story, I think there was, you know, listening to the stories as well, a lot of things happened to me at a very young age. And I think that that's the understanding that I have, is that, not to say that life happens, but in our childhood is what impacts us as adults, right? And there's good and bad. There's success stories because of the upbringing. There's also horror stories because of the upbringing. And I think for me, I had a middle ground, right? And I'm not going to say that my life was the worst, but it wasn't the best. And when things happened to me, I had to really take a look at it and understand that I was raised in a single parent home, where my mother, she was a nurse. I have a brother that's 13 years older than me. And so my brother at the time was out the house. You know, I was raised as, like, I would say, like a latchkey kid, where I took care of myself. My mother wouldn't have it the same way, but in that respect, I learned how to fend for myself. And at a young age, you know, I felt that I had to take care of things on my own. My mother asked why I didn't talk to her, because we didn't have that relationship, right? When things went wrong and were hard for me, I didn't know who to speak to. So a part of me is understanding that it's okay. Let people know that it's okay to talk about these things, like Donitha said, right? There's also a lot of culture shock where, if you feel a certain way, get over it, or man up, or be tough, you know. And for me, that dialect was wrong. And I think for a lot of people, especially in our communities, it's wrong to tell people that. So that, you know, it's also for me to change that narrative that, you know, we don't have to man up. It's okay. You know, talk to somebody and see where you can get to a different place, right? See what help you can get. I think at my lowest, I didn't even realize it was my lowest, right? Because looking back, there was always some lows. My family realized it was my lowest, and I've had, there's been 3 times where I tried to commit suicide. The last time was knowledgeable because I lost somebody in my life. And the family was now in crisis mode, because if somebody else was gone, maybe somebody else needs this help, and they noticed it, right? If I was successful the first time, I would have been, you know, it was at 18. The second time was at 25. The third one, a little bit older. And so, you know, there's a point that there's a part of, I guess, you know, having an open space in a safe space to talk about it, because it's very scary to talk about these things. Having people understand what you're going through is another thing. And that's why we're having these conversations. And then a part where Franz was saying, you know, he was very angry, and there was different things. Those are outlets. For me, looking into it, was outlets for anger, but it's also a form of depression, right? It was him not being happy with himself, not being happy with the situation. And we don't really recognize it as depression, especially in our communities, because we want to say, oh, you're sad, get over it. And because you say get over it, that's you're supposed to jump up out of the depression. Like we said last time, in the previous discussion, depression is a normal thing. It's not normal to stay in it, but people do get depressed. And there are outlets, like Danita said, and Naziat, talk to a therapist, understand what it is, get a safe space. So with me, at the end, I realized I had depression, and I've been living in depression for a very long time. But was it okay for me to speak about it at that time? For me, I didn't feel like it. And it took an extreme for me to get the help in order to understand that I had this depression that I've been living with since a teenager. And I'm close to 40. So it's like, that's a very long time to deny it, or to not understand it, and to not get help. But as soon as I got help with it, it was an eye opener, and I realized that there was a weight that was lifted up off of my shoulders. It was a hold that it had on me. It kept me in stunted growth. There was so much potential that needed to be tapped into, and I couldn't do it because of the depression. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking, because again, I feel like the first step for me was talking about it, not to get rid of that judgment. People are always going to judge, but it wouldn't help me in my growth if I didn't talk about it. And then clinically getting help, talking to a therapist, talking to a group, being present, not being ashamed. Those things were the champions in my recovery and in my growth.
Oh, man. Thank you so much for that. And I want to say, first off, congratulations to you two, Franz and Nefertiti. They got a huge award from Health and Hospitals, signed by the CEO and everyone else who matters. But that just goes to show you that where you can come from and where you can get to, and then where you can take it to beyond that. If you set the right intention and you have the right goals, and like you said, if you take the right steps. I'm about to do something that I normally don't do, is talk about a little bit about myself. I don't really like to, but because it's uncomfortable. But we put it like this. I would say all of the mental stuff, say mental illnesses or whatever or the mental struggles I used to deal with, I had no clue that I was dealing with these things, because a lot of stuff that I was doing, I thought was normal. I thought to hurt people was normal, to be honest. I didn't feel any way about it. I didn't have any remorse. Throwing a gun in somebody's face was like, normal, because this is the situations that I kind of put myself into. I'm just going to go to not take up a lot of time, because I want the analysts to really get in and speak on it. But when I realized that there was, I always knew that there was something off about me. That I always knew. There were certain things that would happen and I wouldn't react in a quote unquote normal reaction. People would die that I'm close to and I wouldn't feel a thing. I could walk up on caskets of people that practically raised me and I would feel nothing. It was kind of a weird situation for me. It was like somebody told me eventually that it was a defense mechanism for me to kind of shut down and shut off. Like, yo, don't care about this and try not to care about people, because one day you're going to lose these people. And I think it started from my Uncle Sean. Once he passed, it was a bit of an issue, dealing with life in general after that. But when I started to realize what I was going through was actually training for my first peer position, which was peer bridger. And I want to give a huge shout out to Sister Tosh Red, who just passed away. She was the one sitting with me at the beginning of this journey to start Muslim Peer Services with just me and her, hours and hours and hours, trying to go over manuals and get stuff done. And she recently just passed, I want to say last week. Yes, last week. And this was a sister who went through a lot of different things. But because of COVID, I was working from home. So I was receiving my training from home. So it was just me and her and the trainers, 8 hours a day, sometimes even longer than that. The conversations would go. And when I started training and I started to have to do the mental health stuff, I started to read stuff like, oh, shoot, that's what I was going through. And this is what was happening to me. And that's how I felt when that happened. I'm like, oh, and then started reading, books on psychology. I'm like, man, like I was really in a state of loss at a certain point where it's like you have no direction. You living off instinct. I'm just kind of like wherever the wind blows, wherever the next jukes come from, that's where I'm moving. Wherever I can get the next lick, this is what I'm doing. Wherever the dollar comes from, that's what I'm doing. It didn't matter who or what was in the way of it. But you have to, rewinding all of that and started to realize when I finally, and I'm gonna just put it, well, dude, I'm in my own space now, so I can say it. When I accepted Islam, right, I started to see the dysfunction in my lifestyle because everything that I was doing was contrary to what I believe I was supposed to be doing. I'm like, man, and I came to the realization I didn't even know how to use the bathroom. That's how bad it was. Literally, I didn't correctly know how to use the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? It's that bugged out when you just like you have to be trained to a degree to get that teaching where you're just like, damn, I didn't even know how to do that. Now just imagine I'm running around here with, it's just weird to me to realize that now that I was living backwards. I was living in bizarro world. Up was down and down was up. And then the other part that confused me is that there were blessings coming my way. Like somebody actually married me in that state. That to me was amazing in itself. And I'm looking there, I'm like, I'm trying to work through this stuff. And she's rocking with me. You know what I mean? She's rocking with me. And I'm like, man, and I see it, but I can't do anything about it because I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? But then I just know it's like, through prayer, patience, and then trying to, watching other people who I think are righteous, how they move. So I'm going to emulate that until I get it. Like almost a fake it till you make it joint. Until the realization kicks in, it's like, well, man, I wasn't that bad. I was just living crooked. You know what I mean? Like if I straighten myself out, I can do some good things and some positive things on earth. But that's when I started to realize that I really had some issues that I did not deal with. Childhood stuff that would pop up, and I'm like, man, when I started disliking and hating things became very clear to me. When my anger got the best of me and when that started to take over became very clear to me and why, and a lot of it is taught. A lot of it is taught and a lot of it comes from fear. When I get scared, I get angry, When somebody does something, my children might do something out of pocket. For me, fear of them hurting themselves, it comes out as anger. It didn't come out as, fatherly, I'm trying to explain stuff to you. Nah, I'm going to pop you upside your head until you understand, you know what I mean? And then you have to realize it's not right. This is that slave, this is that generational stuff that we took with us. That we have to beat somebody into submission to get them to listen to us. This is something other than that. So that's where I say my story began. And when I started to live correctly, when I accepted Islam, I really started to think about what I was doing and how I was doing it. And fortunately for me, I was in a confined area. We'll put it that way, right? I was in a confined space where I had some brothers that would watch me like, yo, don't do that. Nah, that's not right. this is what you should do. Some older cats. I was one of the youngest ones in there. So it's like, nah, you can't fight that dude because of that. You can't, cut that dude up because of that. That's not the way it rolls. Like this, this is how men do it. And true indeed, some of it was warped, but it was better than what I was doing. And then as I got out, I started to learn even more. Like, this is what it's about, like how to live this thing. In the confined spaces, you have the manual, and always equated to Kung Fu. Yeah, I know I'm a Kung Fu head. Always I had the manual, but I didn't spar. The world is a sparring session. I just had the manual in the confined spot. I knew all the moves. I knew all the kicks. And then once I got out here, I got my behind kick. You know what I mean? Like once I ran into a real fighter, it's like, oh, okay. But during that, it was a learning experience, and I tried to, really impress upon myself that, look, man, if you made it through that, if this is something that you was allowed, by the permission of Allah to make it through, then only thing that you could do from here forward is do better. Do better and be kind to people and work with people and you see people in these states. There's no need for you to, to hoard some of the information that you was given. You give it up. And like they say in the programs, in the 12 steps, right? You can't keep it. What do you say? Unless you what? Give it away. Right. Facts. So I'll shut up there. I didn't want to get into too many details because there may be some alleged things that's still out there that subhanAllah. So we won't talk too much into it. No, I'm just joking. But I would say I want to get it. What you gonna say, Gareth? I know you're gonna say
statutes of limitations.
Subhanallah. It might not, maybe not.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good evening, brothers and sisters. It's a pleasure to be here again. And I'm so glad everyone is doing some amazing work. So congratulations to all of you. You guys are doing some great work for our communities and uplifting our communities. So I'm really appreciative of that. And something that I want to share is that, we talked about how in our communities, we don't talk about depression. We don't talk about mental illness or mental health because it's taboo. Stigma is very much prevalent, even till this day. As a South Asian woman, as a Muslim woman, talking about mental health is kind of in the back burner. We don't touch that. It's almost like we don't touch that subject. We don't go there, right? Why can't you be positive? We gaslight ourselves, right? We talk about how others gaslight us, but I think we gaslight ourselves at the end of the day, for the most part, where we tell ourselves, why can't we be better? Why can't we do good? And then we beat ourselves up. So I think it's important to take it one day at a time, take it one step at a time, baby steps to get to where you are or get to your goals. I think that's the most important part. Compartmentalize, right? Break things apart. I always tell my clients that, if you're going through something major, right, take a step back. Take a step back, think of it, make a roadmap, and think about how you can break things down to get to where you are. So that's number one I wanted to share. Stigma is very much prevalent. I think we need spaces like this to continue to talk about mental health. I think even we need to bring it out into the community as well, right? We need to talk about mental health. And so that's something that I'm striving to do, is talk about mental health in open spaces, in communities and centers, religious places. And so that's one of my goals. I wanted to talk a little bit about seasonal affective disorder. So I've read that about 10 million Americans experience seasonal affective disorder. In 2020, there were about 46,000 suicides, unfortunately, and that's one in every 11 minutes. And so the statistics is really, it just amazed me. It was just, like I couldn't even fathom why this was happening. So I want people to know that you're not alone in your journey, and that, there are people who are experiencing the same. And, in our communities, we associate depression with weakness. We associate seeking help with weakness. right? They go hand in hand, but it's not actually true. In fact, I tell my clients that when you're seeking help, when you're asking for help, it actually makes you stronger because you know yourself, you know your worth, you know that you need help and you're willing to work at it. So it's the other way around. And I think people fail to realize that when you're seeking help, you're not only doing yourself a favor, but you're doing others a favor as well. You're helping out your community, you're helping out your support system, and vice versa. I wanted to talk a little bit about, I wanted to talk about depression, but at the same time, I think I also wanted to talk about, especially for mothers, young mothers and women in general, especially postpartum, is something that's prevalent. And I know we're gonna do another whole topic about that. But just thinking about it, just thinking about even postpartum depression, people don't want to talk about that either, right? People don't want to acknowledge it or address it, or think that, hey, this is just a phase and people will get over it. But it persists. It persists. And I think it's all about functioning, right? When you're experiencing something, when you're expressing depressive symptoms, when you're experiencing depression or anxiety, it's about functionality, right? How is it impacting your functioning? Are you able to get up in the morning, brush your teeth? Are you able to get yourself dressed? Are you able to get to work on time? Those are big accomplishments. And if you are able to do those things, you need to give yourself a pat on the back. You need to clap for yourself. You need to celebrate yourself. It's not easy getting those things done, especially when you're in that state of mind where you're constantly blaming yourself, having these cognitive distortions, cognitive dissonance, constantly battling. Depression is an inner battle. It's an inner conflict, right? It's not something where someone is doing something to you. It's kind of like you're doing it to yourself. And of course, there are many factors. There's generational trauma, there's years of abuse, biological reasons, genetic reasons, right? Socioeconomic reasons. There are so many different factors that lead to depression. It's not just one specific reason. So we need to be aware of those, we need to be aware of those reasons. We need to be aware of our triggers. We need to be aware of our surroundings, what our goals are and what we want to attain. So some tips that I want to share when it comes to overcoming depression is, like I said before, taking it one day at a time, taking small steps, ensuring that, you take those small steps to make sure that you're doing okay. Light box, especially in this season, getting yourself exposed to a lot of light. There's the light box therapy, immersing yourself in, maybe going outside as much as you can, talking to a professional, of course, but most importantly, doing things that it has to come from within. It's intrinsic. There has to be intrinsic motivation when it comes to overcoming depression and treating your depression. And it has to come from within. It's more along the lines of, what can I do to help myself? Because no one is going to do it for you, right? It's something that you have to seek out for yourself. And the beauty of our religion is that, and this is something else that I just remembered that I wanted to touch upon. The beauty of our religion is that there's no judgment. There's no judgment. Okay. And there's no saying that, hey, you have depression, you're a sinner, or because you have this specific disease, you must have done something wrong. No. In fact, in the early ages, during the Islamic Golden Age, there were healing centers, there were mental health institutions, there were psychiatric wards where people would go to receive help for mental illness. Because in this religion, mind, body, and soul are connected. We don't differentiate one from the other. Everything is interconnected. So we're big on mental health. We're big on seeking help for yourself. Yes, we're big on praying and spiritual health, because mental health is not just about emotional well-being. It's physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being all combined. It's holistic. So I just encourage everyone to take those small steps in ensuring that they're doing okay. Talk to your professional, like we said before, and don't be afraid to seek help. something that I made a mission, and I with my page, Pearls of Wellbeing, is to encourage and instill confidence in others to seek the help that they need. And inshallah, I hope everyone can, do just that.
Oh, thank you so much. And definitely good information, good tips, good as always, Sister Nazia. She always comes with some great stuff, mashallah. And now for my closer. Oh God, Brother Gareth, inshallah. Go ahead, brother. Do your thing. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Good evening, everyone. I just want to highlight a few points about what some people mentioned. I remember Danitha. She said that she made efforts to improve herself because she didn't have a choice. That's not true. You had a choice to either lay down or get down. You chose to get down. You chose to not lay down. So there was still a choice. We all have that choice to either give up or push through. You chose to push through. So we have to always remember that. Because, a lot of times it's like, like our back is against the wall type of thing. No, there's always a choice. You have the choice to either not improve or you have the choice to improve. And the courage that people have displayed in telling their stories, it's proof that they've made the choice to improve, regardless of how hard that decision was, right? Or I'm going to even up it a notch, not even just a choice, a decision. Because like I tell people all the time, there's no such thing as an easy decision. There's only necessary decisions. If it were easy, it would just be a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, I chose to wear these type of glasses today. That wasn't a decision because there was nothing difficult about that. I got a bunch of glasses in the crib. I could have worn any one of them. That wasn't a decision. That was a choice. But removing ourselves, as our brother Franz mentioned, removing ourselves from a space of negativity to a space of positivity, that's a decision. And all of us who have had any type of experience in what is known in the Arabic language as al-mu'aqira, addiction, any of us who have experienced any type of addiction, regardless of whether it's substance abuse or porn addiction or any type of addiction that you could possibly humanly think of, any type of addiction. There was a point in our lives, that typical like fork in the road simile, where we made a decision. It's like a crossroads of our lives. Like, okay, I have to make a decision whether to stay this way or to force myself to improve. Because when it's time to improve, you literally have to force yourself. It's just like, for example, let's say, for example, you haven't done push-ups in 20 years and you try to do 5. It feels like hell. But then you literally push through it. And then you get used to it. And then you up it to 10 push-ups. Then you up it to 20. Then you up it to 30. Then you up it to 40. And the conditioning, just like Nazia had mentioned, is that in Al-Islam, the human is comprised of 3 things. The spiritual dimension, the psycho-emotional dimension, the primal dimension. And just like people are in the gym conditioning their bodies for primal improvement, we have to get into spiritual and psycho-emotional gyms also to spiritually and psycho-emotionally improve. But because we live in such a superficial society, the only thing we're focused on is the gym rat life in terms of physique, in terms of the posing and all this other type of stuff. But spiritually and psycho-emotionally, we're still weak as hell. So that has to be the real focus of putting ourselves in a spiritual and psycho-emotional gym. And it's arenas and it's spaces like this that open our doors for people to come and do those spiritual and psycho-emotional reps, to do those spiritual and psycho-emotional push-ups, those spiritual and psycho-emotional deadlifts, those spiritual and psycho-emotional butterflies and bench pressing and all that stuff. These things are crucial. These things are vital to the overall siha, health, wellness of our existence, of our being. And one of the reasons how and why people relapse is because they only focus on one dimension of their wellness. See, Islamically, we have to focus on all three dimensions of our wellness at the same time, even if only one piece of us is being damaged. Like our brother Franz, he mentioned that he relapsed more than once. Doesn't matter how many times you relapse. Just push, keep going, keep going. It's not about, because in Islam, we're taught it's not how many times we fall down. It's about how many times we get back up. The amount of times that we fall means nothing. The amount of times we get back up, that's what matters. Because with Allah's help, eventually we're going to get up and we're going to stop falling. Eventually, with Allah's help. But we have to just put that in our minds and in our hearts. I'm going to get up no matter what. And it doesn't matter how many times we fall. We have to keep that in our mind and our heart. We have to have that niyyah, that motive. I'm going to get back up. Doesn't matter how many times I fall. It doesn't matter who or what pushes me down. I'm getting back up. And that process has to start today. Just like when Apollo Creed and Rocky, in one of the Rocky movies, he told Rocky, there is no tomorrow. And that's real. There is no tomorrow. It got to be done today, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. Tomorrow is death. Tomorrow is al-barzakh, the death realm. Tomorrow is the hereafter. We don't have tomorrow. We got to do it today. We got to do it now. So it's just really important that we always provide that lane for people to feel comfortable, for people to feel vulnerable and be like, listen, it's okay if I slip and fall, as long as I get back up. That's the important thing, is to allow people that lane to fall. Because, sometimes we'll be judgmental against other people. Oh, why you relapse? Oh, why you fall off the wagon? That's not our business why they fell off the wagon. That's not our business why they relapsed. Our business is to help them get back on track. Our role is to keep providing them with tools so that they get back on the wagon. It's not our business why they fell off the wagon. It's not our business why they relapsed. We're not even justified to ask them why they relapsed. We're not even entitled to ask them why they fell off the wagon or how. We're not entitled. We're not justified. We're only entitled and justified to help them. That's it.
MashaAllah. And that's a lot. That's why he's the closer. Barakallahu feek. Listen, all of these different things, man, it really just speaks to, and whatever aspects you take, and whatever the brother was saying, it encompasses every part of your life. It's not just about recovery from drugs, alcohol, recovery from mental illness, recovery from, suicide attempts. It's every aspect of life. It could be business all the way until whatever it is. You don't stop fighting. What is the point? You don't stop fighting. You find out you got a diagnosis of cancer, you don't stop fighting. You fight for your life. You only got one. You find out, that someone has passed away. Okay. You grieve, go through your process, and then you get up and you get back into your life, and you need to live on for you and that other person, and we all go through these things for sure. Everybody takes it a little bit differently than others. And some people take things harder than others. Some people resort to substances. Some people resort to whatever. Like the brother said, some people get depressed and they lose themselves in porn movies. You know what I mean? And we don't see them anymore. But then, we watch their life crumble same way as we watch someone with alcohol crumble. Watch the same way. He lost his wife. He lost his job. He lost his same thing, where they think that these addictions are somehow different. You know, we all got to recover from these things in the same. We all have to, you know, put it like they say, pull your work boots up or your work pants up and get to work. You know, yeah, Neff.
Yeah. And for me, knowing the way that I felt for so many years and not understanding it, I take it upon myself to have a responsibility to look back and to help my fellow peers, right? You know, there is especially with my addiction and my isolation and my depression, right? I there was a lot that I kept to myself and that I needed help with. But again, I wasn't able to ask for that help at that time. And with me now, I know that there are so many people who felt like me. Even if I wasn't in their shoes, I still have the empathy to understand that people are struggling. And sometimes it's very hard to ask for help. So I do, take it upon myself and want to challenge others. If you see something like how New York is, if we see a package and we see it, we ain't gonna say something. But if you see something in your people, say something, put that hand out and say, I'm here, even if they don't want to open to you at that moment. Just let them know that it's a safe space, because that you never know, who you can help with that. And like Garrett said, like tomorrow is not guaranteed, right? And so at least if people know that they have something that they could reach out to or someone who they can reach to, put your best foot forward and be there. And if you need help and if you need, to do the research, go to people, like us, like on this platform and figure it out, because you never know who you can help with that one I'm here, one smile, one hug, one handshake. So that's what I wanted to put in.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Danitha, you got some last parting words before we leave?
Yes, I do. But everything went dark. Sorry, just temporary power outage. Everybody has made great points, and I just want to say, if no one has told you that they loved you today, we love you. Most importantly, love yourself, take care of yourself, and if you don't know how, then reach out. People will be more than willing to help. That's it.
No doubt. Thanks, Franz. Give us a nice word before we get up out of here, man.
Like I always say, I enjoy each and every one of y'all. I enjoy the knowledge that I get every time I'm around you. Rushion, you're inspiration to me. Nefertiti, you're my heart. You know what I'm saying? And everybody on the panel here today, I really enjoy y'all. There's a lot of knowledge here, and I appreciate it very much.
Oh man, Sister Nazia.
No, like I said, I agree with everyone. It's about taking those necessary steps to ensure that you're doing okay, and engaging in self-care, making sure that you are the best version of you. If, especially if you're a parent, that you're the best version of you, because if you're not doing better, everyone else around you is going to feel it. So because your energy amplifies, right? It expands. So you want to ensure that you're doing what you can to make sure that you're okay and that you're good, and just follow through on those suggestions that I mentioned earlier.
No doubt. Yeah.
Love, piece of hair grease. I would say, continue to strive. Even though striving is hard, and like I already mentioned, there's no such thing as an easy decision. There's only necessary decision. So the decision to keep going in spite of whatever adversities, the struggle was always going to be worth it. Just like if I'm not mistaken, I think Frederick Douglass said this: without struggle, there's no progress. So that's real. And like there's no such thing as a bloodless revolution. So whenever we commit ourselves to improvement, that's an introspective revolution, because we're literally overthrowing what we deem to be normal or the illusion of normalcy. So when we're addicted to something or someone, if we're addicted to people, places, and things, this becomes, quote unquote, the new norm, or it becomes the illusion of normalcy. So for us to improve and to remove that from our lives, we literally have to revolt against our ego, against our desires, against our whims, against our wants. We literally have to commit an introspective, internal revolution. We literally have to revolt against those things. We have to rebel against those things. Because what ends up happening is that any of us who are addicted to something, in all reality, we are slaves to those things.
Mm.
And if we're addicted to people, we are enslaved to those people.
Mm.
So in order to break those shackles of addiction, we have to rebel. We have to revolt. We literally have to be our own internal Nat Turners.
Right.
You know?
No doubt.
Yeah. And that's not easy. That's hard. And one of the reasons how and why it's hard is because we allow Satan to make us think and feel that we can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Then number two, we allow other people external of us to make us think and feel that we can't do it.
Yeah.
And both of those things are equally negative. Like when you have to get into a zone and you really have to concentrate on something, where you literally have to clear your mind and you have to filter things out. When it comes to recovery, that's exactly what has to happen. You literally have to say, to hell with Satan's opinion, as always, to hell with everybody else's opinion. It's about my process. It's about me. Even if they mean well, even if they're giving you solid advice, it still has to be on the person.
Mm-hmm.
It's my time. I have to do this for myself. No one is going to do this for me. And in Al-Islam, Allah teaches us something very important. Allah says in chapter 5, verse 105, Allah says, those whom believe pay attention. Upon you are yourselves. So that means we have an Islamic command to be self-responsible, to be self-accountable for our own wellness, our own recovery, our own improvement, our own empowerment. We got to do it. And then also Allah says in chapter 13, verse 11, Allah says, verily Allah doesn't change what's within any people until they change what's within themselves. So that means that if we don't do it, it ain't going to get done.
Not gonna happen. Yeah.
Not going to happen. We have to do it. Just like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. And that's real.
That's real.
That's 100% fact.
Yeah.
I mean, so that in closing, I'm gonna just say that if you really want it, if you really want to be successful at something, ask Allah for it, and then go get it.
Go get it.
Simple.
Put in the work.
There you go. Put in the work. And that's all we really ever preach, whether inside or outside any programs. It's like you have to put in that work, man. No matter what you want to do in life, you got to put in the work. Nothing is necessary. Right. You know, we always say, like, if you don't put in the work, you're just wishing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even praying anymore. You're just wishing. You know what I mean? If you're not willing to put in any work, you're just asking, you're just wishing at that point. And
no, it's nothing wrong with wishing. But if, like you said, if work ethic isn't backing the wish, then the wish is useless.
That's what I mean.
It's useless.
Yeah, it's useless. You waiting for it to fall in your lap. That'll never happen.
Exactly. Yeah. You know? Just like that old saying, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Yeah.
That's real.
Definitely true. Definitely true. Alhamdulillah, man. Thank y'all so much. I want to thank each and every one of you. You know, let's go around the brother Gareth, my brother Franz, my sister Donitha, my sister Nefertiti, my other sister Naziat, and even thank my wife. She doesn't come on. She's like the what's his name? Russell Simmons of the group.
She's the executive producer.
Good night. That's it. She's the executive, but she's watching, man. She's helping and posting stuff in different places, stuff that I could not do, or nor do I really want to do, but she does it. You know, and thank her for that. So thank y'all so much for coming. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of the information that you gave us. I appreciate all of the the energy. I also appreciate all of the strength that it took to let these things out. And like I said, you look at what's here on the panel, what people have been through, just right here on the panel, and you see the things that we're doing now. And just think about that 20 years ago. Could you even imagine you sitting here doing what you're doing right now? You know, a lot of us wouldn't even fathom that. Like some people have this thing from when they're younger. It's like, yo, I always wanted to do this. I didn't always want to do this. You know, you know what I mean? Like, to be honest, I fell into this. You know, there's no accidents, you know, but I kind of fell into this thing. But I look at it as some people really know when they're younger, like, yo, I want to be a psychotherapist. I want to do this. I want to do that. This would have been the furthest thing from my mind if you was asking me what would I be doing in 2024, you know? So, and like the brother saying, there's no accidents. Everything is the color of Allah. This is something that was written for us. And that's why we're here doing what we do. So if we're here, we got to do it to the best of our ability. Let's put in that work. And for anyone that's watching, or will view the recording later, listen, get at us. You know, all of us are here to help. You know, Sister Nefertiti, she runs a group on Saturday that we do. Pretty much those things you have to hit us up personally because you have to be invited to those groups, but they are anonymous. But we just can't let anybody. But you know what? For those can't just let anybody in. But you know, some people are there to play around, and some people are serious. If you're serious about your recovery, reach out. You know, Sister Naziat also has her program that she's doing. Right. Pearls of well-being that she does as well. She told us about that the last time we was on. Her information is always on the beginning and the end of our video. So you can always check her out and get at her as well. My sister Danitha, she's a wellness coach. You can reach out to her. It's a lot of different things that she does. We're not going to go through all your accolades. We need like a teleprompter for all that. We just deal with that later. But get at Danitha for anything that you need. You know, and did you finish that herbal thing yet or not yet?
I became a certified herbalist as of December 12th.
Exactly. So that's another thing on the teleprompter. So even for your
I do have a Facebook page.
Right. What's your Facebook page?
Mm-hmm. It is Donnie R Life Coaching and something else. I'll share the link later.
All right, we'll put it up.
What I put up there. Yeah,
it's all good. We're gonna post it as soon as you give it to us. You know, we'll put that in order. But thank y'all very much. I appreciate y'all. Much love to everybody here. And then we close out. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace and love to everyone. Thank y'all again. I can't thank y'all enough, man. Y'all really, y'all might have actually, you never know what you do. There's so many people that watch us. I'm gonna edit this, right? But there's so many people that watch us. You don't even know if you just saved a life. You know what I mean? By people just watching this thing. I've doing something in the program, just talking to this guy, took some time out, walked with him down to the elevator, and the guy turned around and looked at me. He said, "Yo, man," he said, "I'm gonna tell you something. You just saved somebody's life." Because when I left here, I was planning on getting rid of myself because I wasn't gonna take it. And I just thought I was talking to the dude, like we were just chopping it up, you know. So just be mindful. The little bit that you give may go a long way. We never know who's watching us, who's saying certain things, who's reading what we're putting out. So just listening. As long as you're putting out that, who's listening, as long as y'all putting out that positive energy that y'all doing and stuff like that. And like they always say in the program, it's about it's about attraction rather than promotion, right? So people will definitely be attracted to your positivity and movement. You don't even have to promote it; they'll just come. All right, but thank y'all so much, man. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
And kiss that baby for me now.
Definitely.
No.
Look, your boy Mike is.
It is
No, I ain't
wonderful.
talk. I don't want you to kiss Mikey. I want you to kiss the baby. Not that baby. Not the big baby. The little baby. What up, Mikey? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm still waiting for my shirt.
It's coming.
All right. All right. All right. All right, everybody. Have a good night.
Blessings.
All right, have a
Thanks,
good night,
Topher.
everyone.
All right, y'all.
Assalamu alaikum. Thanks for watching our video. Please subscribe, like, and share at Muslim Peer Services. Assalamu alaikum.